1942. The world was burning. Armies clashed across continents, but deep in the heart of the Soviet Union, one city would become the symbol of ultimate defiance: Stalingrad. This wasn't just a city, it was Stalin's namesake, in Hitler's obsession. As Operation Barbarossa stalled, Hitler grew desperate. He ordered a southern offensive, aiming for the oil-rich Caucasus and a symbolic blow to Soviet morale by capturing Stalingrad. But instead of focusing on a single objective, he made a fatal mistake, splitting his forces. He stretched his lines thin across vast Soviet lands, ignoring advice from his own generals. At the same time, the Allies, seeing the Soviet Union on the verge of collapse, took action. They occupied Iran, opening the Persian corridor, a lifeline for Soviet survival. Through this route, tanks, trucks, fuel, ammunition, and food flowed north. American Lend-Lease supplies, Studebakers, Shermans, and canned rations moved up toward the Volga. Without this route, the Soviets might have fallen. Back on the front, the Luftwaffe rained fire upon Stalingrad in August 1942. In just a few days, a thriving city became rubble, but that rubble worked in the defenders' favor. The ruins made tanks useless, blocked sight lines, and turned every building into a fortress. The Soviet High Command knew what was at stake. Stalin issued Order Number 227, not one step back. Retreat was punishable by death. Soldiers fought with their backs against the Volga River. There was nowhere else to go. At night, under sniper fire and freezing winds, reinforcements crossed the river in tiny boats. Men, weapons, and sometimes just hope. Many never made it across. Those who did stepped into a nightmare. Inside the city, brutal house-to-house combat broke out. Fighting took place room by room, floor by floor. The Germans called it Rattenkrieg, the Rat War. Every basement hid ambushes. Every chimney was a sniper's perch. The Soviets employed a tactic they called hug the enemy, stay so close to the Germans that their artillery and bombers couldn't be used without hitting their own men. Snipers became legends. Most famously, Vasily Zaitsev, who hunted German officers one by one. He reportedly killed over 200 enemy soldiers, and his duel with a German elite sniper, possibly sent specifically to kill him, became the stuff of wartime myth. Meanwhile, in the ruined city, German supply lines strained. The Soviets controlled the flanks. But Hitler was adamant: no retreat. He replaced skilled commanders with political loyalists. He dismissed warnings. When his generals begged to pull the Sixth Army back, Hitler refused. "Surrender is forbidden," he barked. Then came November 19, 1942. The Soviets unleashed Operation Uranus. They didn't attack the German corps, they struck the flanks, where Romanian and Hungarian divisions stood. These under-equipped Axis troops crumbled. Within days, the Soviet pincers closed, encircling 300,000 German soldiers. Stalingrad, once a target, had become a trap. Inside the pocket, chaos reigned. Temperatures dropped below -30. Supplies were parachuted in, but too little, too late. Fuel froze. Ammunition ran out. Food disappeared. Soldiers ate horses, then dogs, then each other. Some burned furniture for warmth. Others wrote goodbye letters they knew would never be delivered. Field Marshal Erich von Manstein attempted a rescue operation, the so-called Winter Storm, but failed to break through. The Soviets held fast. The Red Army, once on its knees, was now pushing back. On January 31, 1943, Friedrich Paulus surrendered part of the Sixth Army. 2 days later, the rest followed. Hitler had promoted him to field marshal, hoping he'd commit suicide rather than surrender. He did not. Of the 300,000 men surrounded, only 91,000 were taken prisoner. By the end of the war, only 5,000 would return to Germany. Stalingrad was more than a defeat. It shattered the myth of Nazi invincibility. It proved that arrogance is a weakness, and that in war, mistakes can be more deadly than bullets. From this moment forward, Germany was on the defensive. The Soviet war machine, once bleeding and broken, had risen from the ashes. But the price? Over 2 million dead, wounded, or missing. A city reduced to dust. An entire generation scarred. Yet within that destruction, the tide of the war turned. The Red Army stopped running. The Nazi dream began to die. This was Stalingrad, where men became ghosts and ghosts became legends.